It was a bitterly cold February afternoon in 1966 in West Chicago, Illinois. The wind cut through the air like a knife, and the snow crunched beneath the feet of the town's residents. But inside Benjamin Elementary School, 10-year-old Debbie Fijan stayed behind, eager to fulfill her enthusiastic commitment to keep time at the school's basketball game, a role she had excitedly volunteered for, showcasing her innate sense of responsibility and community spirit. Debbie was the kind of child who instinctively liked to help out, always ready to lend a hand, and on that fateful day, her selfless gesture would tragically become her final act of kindness. Unaware of the ominous fate that awaited her, Debbie's innocent dedication to her school and community would soon be cruelly extinguished. The game ended, and the children eagerly gathered their belongings and headed home, chatting excitedly about the thrilling matchup. As the final whistle blew and the crowds dispersed, Debbie's mother, anticipating a routine pickup, arrived at the school, expecting to see her bright smile and waving daughter waiting outside. But when she pulled up to the school's entrance, a sense of unease crept in as she scanned the emptying parking lot and sidewalks. Debbie was nowhere to be seen. The usual spot where they met was vacant, and a growing anxiety began to grip her heart as she peered into the fading light of day, searching for a glimpse of her child's familiar face. The minutes ticked by, each one feeling like an hour, as Debbie's mother waited anxiously, her mind racing with thoughts of her daughter's usual reliability. At first, she thought Debbie might simply be running late, or that she had lost track of time, distracted by the excitement of the basketball game. But as the cold winter night began to set in, casting long shadows across the empty schoolyard, that initial worry gradually turned into a creeping sense of dread. The silence was oppressive, and every passing moment amplified her fear. A teacher's recollection offered a fragile thread of hope. He reported seeing Debbie on a swing at 5:15 p.m., laughing and carefree. But that glimpse of normalcy was soon shattered by a disturbing sighting. A teacher's husband claimed to have seen a girl resembling Debbie getting into a white car, but the uncertainty was agonizing. Was this really Debbie, or just a haunting coincidence? The janitor's testimony only deepened the mystery. He swore that when he left the school at 5:35 p.m., the grounds were deserted, with no sign of Debbie anywhere. At 6:44, Debbie's mother reported the disappearance of her daughter. Neighbors helped search for the girl. The search for Debbie began almost immediately. Her family, teachers, and friends scoured the streets, calling her name into the biting wind, hoping for any sign of their beloved daughter. Her mother's heart was heavy with the terrifying thought, something wasn't right. Hours passed with no sign of Debbie. Then the search came to a devastating end. In a desolate, icy ditch near the forsaken intersection of Fair Oaks and Lies Road, 40 miles away from Benjamin Elementary School, where the darkness of the night seemed to linger long after dawn, her small, fragile body was discovered, frozen in time, bearing the haunting testament of a heinous crime. Debbie, a young life full of promise and potential, had been callously discarded like a forgotten, shattered object, exposed to the unforgiving cold and something far more chilling than the biting winter weather. A brutal, senseless murder that would forever shatter the community's tranquility and leave an indelible scar on the hearts of those who knew her. She had been stabbed 19 times. 19 times in a vicious, senseless act of violence. It isn't stated whether or not Debbie was stabbed where she was found, but car tracks did lead to where she was found. She was found fully clothed and was not sexually assaulted. her stuff was found thrown near her. The town of West Chicago was stunned. Who could have done such a thing to an innocent child? Debbie, just 10 years old, with her whole life ahead of her, had been cruelly taken from her family, her friends, her community. Decades later, Debbie's family continues to feel the weight of her loss. Her younger brother, now in his late 40s, carries the pain of her death with him. He remembers the last moments they shared, going to church together, where Debbie would talk to him with a kind smile on her face. She was always smiling, always full of life. He recalls her warmth, her innocence, and the love she had for her family. And he remembers the profound sadness that washed over their household the day she didn't come home. Her brother's memories are bittersweet. The thought of her kindness brings comfort, but the circumstances of her death haunt him. How could such a cruel fate befall someone so pure? Immediately following the discovery of Debbie's body, a large-scale investigation was launched. The DuPage County Sheriff's Office worked tirelessly to follow any lead, interview witnesses, and track down anyone who might have seen something that could explain what happened to Debbie that night. For a moment, hope seemed on the horizon when the authorities zeroed in on a potential suspect, Debbie's own teacher. His name was Lawrence Schofield. He was a 27-year-old stocky man with receding brown curly hair at the time and had taught Debbie in the 4th grade the year before at Benjamin Elementary. According to local news reports from 1966, Lauren was arrested as the prime suspect for Debbie's murder on his 27th birthday. Schofield had a disturbing response when questioned by the police. He confessed that he didn't remember what happened that night and said that he believed he might have done it. Lauren flunked a series of 6 lie detector tests. He claimed that he felt sick, that something wasn't right inside him, but he couldn't explain what. Sheriff Stanley Lynch questioned Lawrence Schofield for 9 hours and said, "We have the right man." Despite Schofield's startling and troubling confession, which initially seemed like a breakthrough in the investigation, the case against him unexpectedly fell apart due to a lack of concrete evidence, highlighting the daunting challenges of securing justice in cold cases. There simply wasn't enough tangible proof to substantiate the claims, and the grand jury ultimately refused to indict him, citing insufficient evidence to formally charge him with Debbie's heinous murder. The alleged murder weapon, a crucial piece of physical evidence, was never recovered or identified, and the finer details of that fateful night remained frustratingly elusive, shrouded in mystery and speculation. As a result, Schofield walked free, leaving Debbie's family and the community with unanswered questions and a lingering sense of injustice. On June 1st, 2018, Lawrence Schofield, a longtime person of interest in the unsolved 1966 murder case of 10-year-old Debbie Lou Fijan, passed away at the age of 79, leaving behind a legacy of unanswered questions and unresolved justice. With the case collapsing in court, the town was left reeling, burdened by more questions than answers and a deepening sense of frustration and despair. The investigation, once fueled by urgency and hope, gradually grew cold, and the years slipped by with painless slowness, without justice for Debbie or her grieving family. The mystery of what truly happened that fateful night has haunted investigators for decades. Its unresolved threads continue to taunt and frustrate. Some wonder if Debbie might have known her killer, perhaps a trusted neighbor, family friend, or acquaintance who hid behind a mask of normalcy. Or did she simply fall prey to a stranger, a predator lurking in the shadows who exploited her innocence and vulnerability in the wrong place at the wrong time. The uncertainty has become a perpetual torment, a nagging reminder that justice remains elusive. Some theories suggest that Debbie may have willingly gotten into a car, a possibility that haunts investigators and her family to this day. Reports of a suspicious white car lurking near the area where her lifeless body was discovered have fueled speculation about the circumstances surrounding her abduction. Debbie's mother had repeatedly warned her about the dangers of talking to strangers or accepting rides from people she didn't know, instilling in her a sense of caution that makes her potential willingness to get into the car all the more perplexing. Could Debbie have trusted her killer, perhaps mistaking them for a familiar face or authority figure? Or was she forcibly abducted, dragged into the car against her will, and silenced before she could scream for help? The uncertainty surrounding Debbie's final moments have sparked a decades-long search for answers. In recent years, Debbie's case has been revived by the DuPage County Cold Case Unit. Detectives Tim Garlish and Joe Delguides continue to search for answers, refusing to let Debbie's story fade into history. With advancements in forensic technology and new methods of tracking down leads, there's hope that this case might finally be solved. These investigators know that even after decades, justice can still be served. For Debbie's family, this fight for answers has never stopped. They long for closure, for the truth to come to light, no matter how painful. All right, everyone, let's do a quick recap of this story. 1. Debbie disappeared on a Friday from a schoolyard while waiting for her mother. 2. Her body, fully clothed, was found late Friday night, 40 miles away. 3. Lauren Schofield, a PE teacher for 7th and 8th graders and gym teacher, was one of the first to volunteer for the search. 4. Schofield claimed he saw Debbie on the playground at 5:30, told her to go home, but she said her mother was en route. 5. Schofield stated Debbie's mother arrived 10 minutes later, after Debbie left. 6. Sheriff Stanley Lynch questioned Lauren Schofield for 9 hours, saying, "We have the right man." 7. Schofield flunked a series of 6 lie detector tests, voluntarily taken. 8. Sheriff Lynch believed Lauren picked up Debbie and drove her to the rural, wooded area where she was found. 9. District Attorney Hopf noted Lauren had personal sex problems. 10. A teacher reported Lauren burning pornographic photos from his desk during the Friday night search. 11. Schofield was charged with murder on his 27th birthday. 12. Sheriff Lynch disclosed that the murder weapon, possibly a small penknife, was never found. Again, as we close this episode, our thoughts and condolences are with Debbie's family, especially her brother, who continues to carry the memory of his sister's life and tragic death. Losing a loved one is never easy, but losing them in such a violent and unresolved way is a wound that never fully heals. To Debbie's family and to all those affected by this senseless crime, we hope that one day justice will be found, and the answers will finally emerge from the shadows. Thank you for watching CrimeCap Podcast. If you found Debbie's story as moving as we did, please consider liking this video, sharing it with others, and subscribing to our channel. We cover new cases every week, and you won't want to miss what we uncover next. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you're the first to know when we release our next bone-chilling, wicked, and twisted episode. Thank you for all your support.